Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the third edition of the World Climate News. The majority of Germans see climate protection as a pressing problem and want to do something about it. But it's not just German policy that has been geared toward climate protection for years. The EU is also pursuing numerous climate goals. What makes the European population tick? Are the French, Slovenians, Romanians and Italians also convinced climate protectors? Or are there clear differences between the countries? In 2021, the European Union conducted a large-scale survey on the subject of climate protection. The results are clear at first glance. 93%, according to the summary, believe climate change is a serious problem. So, at first glance, approval of climate policy across Europe seems absolutely unambiguous. To find out how the authors arrive at such high values, let's take a look at the publication. Reading the fabulous approval ratings in the summary, you quickly become skeptical, because right at the beginning, one finds different figures that do not contradict each other, but do cast a different light on the topic. On average in the EU, the majority of the population is of the opinion that climate change is the single most serious problem, but instead of a value of 90%, only 18% agree with the statement. Right behind, with similar rates, come hunger, poverty, dangerous diseases, or the economic situation. Moreover, the question reads in full, which of the following do you consider to be the single most serious problem facing the world as a whole? Since climate change is considered a global problem, but poverty, hunger, wars, lack of drinking water, and so on are regional problems, a bias in favor of the climate issue has been created. The clearest assessment as the most important problem is found in the Scandinavian and Northern European countries, but also in France, Spain and Portugal. Here you can see the excerpt from the publication, and again one wonders, at least at second glance, if only 18% of the EU population consider climate change to be very important, how can half of Europe be dark blue? Quite simple manipulation by maps. The scale of agreement was divided into 3 shades of blue. Light blue 0 to 10, medium blue 11 to 14 and dark blue 15 to 100. The first group thus comprises a 10-point scale, the second group a 5-point scale, and the group with the most approval theoretically 85 points, but practically 28 points since Sweden had the highest value with 43% approval. The groupings were thus deliberately set so that many countries are on the dark blue range, suggesting that the whole of Western Europe is concerned about climate protection. To get a clearer picture, we divided the groups differently, and also adjusted the colors realistically. The whole thing then looks like this, and gives a completely different picture of the situation. Interestingly, the study points to 2 other factors in the same chapter. First, the percentage of those who consider climate change to be enormously important has decreased in 22 of 27 countries. Due to the corona issue, the supposedly urgent problem had simply slipped down the priority list. In Austria, Italy and Denmark, approval dropped by a full 12 percentage points. On the other hand, it is mentioned there is a different perception of climate change between the generations. But anyone who thinks that 90% of young people consider climate change to be important, while the elderly ignore the problem, is far wrong. In the youngest group, aged 15 to 24, only 22% said climate change was the biggest problem, while 16% of the over 50s did. So the generations are closer together than you might think. And fewer than 1 in 4 European young people have let themselves be driven crazy by climate issues. But back to the beginning. In the introduction to the study, it was stated 93% of Europeans consider climate change to be a serious problem. How do you arrive at such a large figure in light of these initial findings? The survey goes even further, and the respondents were given the opportunity to state 3 more important problems in addition to their main problem. In total, 4 important problems could be named from the 11 possible answers. Now, 49% of the Europeans saw climate change as a major problem. Obviously, the initial 18% was not satisfactory, so they simply expanded the answer options. This methodology is simply not up to the standard of scientific work. To be clear, if the subjects were also allowed to choose 11 answers from 11 answer options, the agreement with each answer would be 100%. The manipulation goes even further if you take another look at the legend. Light blue 0 to 41 points of agreement, medium blue 42 to 47 points of agreement, a space of just 5 points, and dark blue with 48 to 100 points, de facto 74 points of agreement, the highest rate measured in Sweden. And again, the whole map looks nice and blue. Since these survey results obviously did not satisfy the creators of the study, another survey with a completely different methodology had to be conducted. Now the respondents were asked how serious climate change was as a problem. They could give their answer on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 to 4 points being grouped together as not a serious problem, 5 to 6 points forming the group quite a serious problem, and 7 to 10 being grouped together as very serious problem. What is the first thing that stands out? The middle group, which gives climate change a neutral rating on the point scale, has been combined into fairly serious problem. So the neutral scale score linguistically becomes an endorsement of the serious problem. But isn't that nitpicking and just some designation had to be given? You can look at it that way, but you don't have to. If you now look at the last step, we see directly this designation was chosen deliberately. Because 78% of the Europeans gave the problem of climate change 8 to 10 points, 15% gave 5 or 6 points, and 7% gave 1 to 4 points. And this is how one arrives at the 93% value of the introduction, which was mentioned in numerous press reports. You simply add the 78% and the 15% and create out of thin air a 93% approval rating in the EU, which you would never have arrived at using the other polling methods. We can take a total of 5 things. All statistical figures that cannot be understood 100% should be taken with a pinch of salt. There has long been no climate consensus among the population of the EU. Instead, only 18% of the population see climate change as the most pressing problem. As soon as another problem arises, climate protection slips to the back of the list of preferences. Also, the climate youth is nowhere near as large as it is portrayed in the media. And last but not least, even the official bodies of the EU work with tricks and deceptions to get their desired result. If you enjoyed the video, then press the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support our channel, information for donation can be found in the video description box down below. We'll see you again in the next video.